Welcome to Crosstalk. 15 years ago, Kenya stood at Uhuru Park in celebration with color, pomp, and great expectation. We ushered in what was termed as one of the most progressive constitutions in sub-Saharan Africa, the 2010 Constitution. It was a promise to safeguard freedoms, to ensure justice, to protect citizens from corruption and impunity, and to give young people, women, and marginalized groups an opportunity and a seat at the table. But is there really anything to celebrate for the ordinary Kenyan? Because the reality of the last 15 years tells a different story. Insecurity persists, corruption thrives, political integrity is rare, and public trust in leadership is at an all-time low. We have just concluded a 3-part conversation on this program on ethical leadership. And tonight, we want to turn the mirror back to our nation and its constitution. What's the point of boasting about a robust constitution if we refuse to uphold it? To answer this and many other critical questions, tonight I'm joined by 2 young and vibrant leaders, vibrant minds, if you may say so. Brian Nabiswa, a political analyst, and Tekin Saeko, a lawyer and data protection scholar. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nabiswa, for your time on Crosstalk.
Thank you, JP.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
I hope I got your name right.
Yes, you did.
I tried. Thank you so much. Katiba Day.
Yes.
As a lawyer, we always get this, mostly advocates and lawyers saying this in the corridors of justice, or even just normal debates. The law is clear. But if you look at 15 years after promulgation of this constitution, would you say the Kenyan 2010 constitution is as clear, that the spirit of the law and the letter of the law are in tandem?
Thank you. First of all, I don't think the law is ever clear. The law is always subject to interpretation, and interpretation is relative to different people, different perspectives. But when you talk about the Constitution, the 2010 Constitution was crafted with intention, and the drafters of the Constitution thought about the country not just in hindsight, but in foresight, and they looked at certain situations that had happened, the things that had happened in the past, the atrocities that we had in 2008 and way before that. And in crafting that constitution, they tried to address those kind of issues. Within the past 15 years, there have been a lot of issues, and I acknowledge. And I don't think that is as a result of the constitution. Rather, it's a problem of, leadership having a good document and without implementing that document. For instance, we talk about corruption so many times. And the Constitution has given us independent offices. It has given us the separation of powers. We have the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. And these 3 arms have been given mandates by the Constitution to be implemented. And then we have other institutions that are in place to address those issues. But the problem is implementation. So I would say the past 15 years, we've had a perfectly good document. And so far, we've achieved enough. If I were to talk about the achievements of the 15th constitutions, there are so many. But we still have a lot to do in terms of implementing the constitution.
He's talking about the implementation aspect. If you get the executive through the presidency, setting aside this day as Katiba Day prior, is it to acknowledge the progress we've made this far? Or this is just a political gesture?
Thank you, Paul. At first, I will say that one of the greatest things that this country ever had is getting the new constitution, that is the 2010 constitution. But now, having a president setting aside a Katiba Day, for me, I have to look into it as, I'll not want to say that as an absurd, but, setting up such a day, such a celebration or a remembrance, it needs to come with something tangible that Kenyans can look at it and say, yes, this is something worth it. Yes, having the constitution is something worth it that Kenya got 15 years ago. But now, having it as a celebratory, what is it that are we going to look at it and celebrate? Yes, we are having it. Is it being implemented to a level that we can acknowledge and say that we are proud of it, we are getting something tangible out of it? For me, I'll say that this constitution, if there is implementation that has been done, it's less than 40%. Why? Every year, our political class, who are the key drivers of how we should implement this constitution, are demanding that we need to go for a referendum. Why? Because for them, they feel that we need to go for a referendum because they feel that this Katiba probably is not right. Yeah. Then the same political class now are putting it as putting aside a day to celebrate the same Katiba. They want it implemented. Okay. For me, I feel that at this level, it's a certain level of PR that these leadership crop that we have are trying to play with us, so that
they are playing politics.
Yes,
with our
we saw. If we can say that Moi gave us certain holidays, President Uhuru came, twisted them. He gave us Mashujaa Day. So probably the regime now wants to come up with a day that we can remember that we got this day of remembering the Katiba from this current regime, President William Ruto's regime. But honestly, it should come with something tangible that when we sit here today and say that today is a Katiba day, we can look at it and say, yes, Katiba has given us devolution. Now, when we look at that devolution which came as a result of this Katiba, looking at our counties, we can say that we have thrived. But it's something that most of us, we feel like this day of remembering and celebrating Katiba, for me, it's a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe from a point of young people might not necessarily understand how far we've come as a country, but looking at is just spoken to the devolution as one of the things that we could pride ourselves in. There's the aspect of representation. I think Kenya is over represented. You have 349 members of parliament. You have 47 senators. If you add the 20 nominated, almost 67. So we are overrepresented. But is this overrepresentation coming with service and reforms, or this is just creating opportunities and positions for people in power?
I think it's creating opportunities for people in power. First, because in our political system, the representation is not for the people nowadays, they're representing the political parties. And you've seen them boasting about it, My party leaders say this, my party leaders say this. You are a representative of the people of Nairobi. You're not the representative of your party leader. And I think that's one of the shortcomings of our legislators, because they forget that they were put there by the people and not the party leaders. Another problem, and he's talked about devolution. There are so many failures when it comes to devolution, but we, as I said, we attribute it to the people. But we also need to also acknowledge the kind of developments that devolution has done. I come from a very remote county in Bungoma County, and particularly a constituency that is not really known. But I have gotten to see developments through devolution, as much as it's not as I would have expected, but it was something. And I think the intention of the Constitution was to distribute as much resources as possible to the people. And with devolution, that is an opportunity for Kenyans to do that. I think we can all agree here that our problems are the political class. Ideally, even the president acknowledged the other day that we would have been far from Singapore. Singapore has overtaken us, but the problem is them, and he acknowledged it. So he knows he's part of the problem. I don't know if he's doing anything about it, but we can never fault what we have. Obviously, we cannot have a perfect document. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
There's an aspect of the institutions, because we've spoken to the arms of government. So we have the legislature, executive, and the judiciary. This constitution gave us what we'll consider the fourth arm of government, which is independent commissions and oversight commissions, as you may talk about that. If you look at these oversight commissions and independent bodies, would you say they are weak in terms of institutional structure or in terms of offering services? Because if we are still talking about corruption, and the president acknowledging there's corruption even in parliament, which is supposed to oversight the executive, yet we have bodies like ESCC and all these independent institutions to oversight.
You know, Paul, these independent bodies we have, they're just as toothless as some people could say. You know, when you go to a national park in our museums, we have some lions which are harmless. We have some snakes which are harmless. So what we see with our independent bodies, I can clearly relate them to this kind of creatures. We are having the independent bodies which are no longer independent. They have not been given that independency to carry out their exercises. Because up to today, we have seen a lot of corrupt people, corruption cases being persecuted. You could see ESCC raiding leaders of as early as 10 a.m. But at the end of the day, what will you see? What will happen? They're the same people who will end up withdrawing the same cases. They told us that they found people stuffing money into sacks. They found people. They have clear evidence. Now, at the end of the day, they will not do something substantive for us Kenyans to acknowledge that indeed these independent bodies are fighting for corruption. And as Wakili alluded, you know, the problem is allowing the executive to dictate over the selection of the commissioners. That's the problem. And this is the reason why you could see all leaders will want to associate themselves with the executive politically. Once you are not in good terms with the executive, however clean you are, you will find yourself in problem. So, now, this problem is these independent bodies, they have been used by the executive to weaponize all the cases that comes about. I remember a few years ago, the former governor of Nairobi, Mike Sonko, came out strongly to tell Kenyans that he's fighting cartels. And we could see what he was doing even in hospital in Bagathi, walking, cracking the whip. But at the end of the day, he was impeached allegedly as the most corrupt governor. So the person who has come out to fight corruption, and we could see some effort, he ends up being victimized for as a most corrupt leader. So these independent bodies, they are they have to stand out. They have to be as independent as they are. Now, this independence of the body now, in a way, I feel that it is victimized by the parliament that we have. You know, the parliament is a body. Personally, I feel that it's an organ that has that key of giving powers to some of these independent bodies, because once the president has nominated or has appointed a commissioner, who passes that commissioner to chair it's the parliament. But even the parliamentarians themselves, they get phone calls or they are given directive to pass the name without, however bad it is. We have seen instances where even the parliamentarians have questioned the credibility of the commissioners. They have told us that we have we have done what? It's called approving this candidate, but we feel that he's
We have
not fit.
vetted,
Yes,
interviewed,
vetting,
and
that's the,
approved.
yes. But
So does that mean that then Parliament is just an extension of the executive, stamping what the executive wants?
Yes. And when you see any system globally, the parliament is the most powerful thing. You know, we talk about the US, the Congress, the president always goes back to the parliament to get approvals. Even laws for us as lawyers, it has to be approved by parliament so that the constitutional courts can interpret them. So we have a parliament that does not understand its mandate, because its mandate is, you know, representing the people and oversight. And it gives power, like he says, to everybody, even the president. You know, the parliament has the power to impeach him right now. So we have a parliament that has ceded its powers to the president, to the executive, and it has allowed itself to be manipulated by the executive. And it is a shame that they're even admitting on the floor of parliament that, you know, the president he told us to do this, we passed it. He told us to do this, we passed it. And it's also a shame that the president is saying that they are taking bribes to pass laws, because that is the highest mandate. Their laws affect how our country goes. And these are very pertinent things that, you know, they are binding even for us. You know, once the law says that, then we have to abide by that. And the fact that they are being bribed to do their mandate, it's a shameful thing. So it's high time that we start having conversations around how to restructure our parliament, because we'll always have presidents who have ambitions beyond what the constitution have and what the law dictates. But things like the parliament and the judiciary are in place now to put them in check. So that is where our problem starts. Because
so
the
our
parliament
problem lies with the parliament. That's why young people went to parliament?
You see,
we'll come back after this short break to discuss that. Yeah. We are looking at Katiba Day as Kenya marks 15 years after the promulgation of 2010 Constitution. Is there anything to celebrate about? Send us your comments, feedback on our WhatsApp line 0786 316 316. You can as well send a text message on 20316. We'll be back after this short break.
We are living in a lost and broken world, constantly bombarded by messages of hate and atrocities. But with God, we can overcome. Find hope and restoration on the go through life-changing shows on the Family Media app.
And then you will lose yourself and gain the world. And Jesus said, what good is it?
Get to stream Family TV and Family Radio 316 straight from your phone. Catch up on a show you missed or create video streaming playlists by saving and watching videos from our huge variety of shows at your own convenience. Download the Family Media app, available for all Android and iOS users on the Google Play Store and Apple Store, respectively. Family Media, keeping Jesus on the airwaves.
Welcome back to Crosstalk, 15 years after the promulgation of 2010 Constitution, which gave us the Bill of Rights. For the very first time, our rights are protected under the Constitution. It also gave us an elaborate Chapter 6 on leadership and integrity. But when you look at these two articles in the Constitution that protects and speaks to how we should be governed, is there anything to celebrate about as we mark this Katiba Day? Send us your views and comments on our WhatsApp line 0786 316 316. Our SMS line is 20316. Maybe you've lived through all the regimes from Kenyatta 1 to Moi to Kibaki, Kenyatta 2, and now to President William Ruto. Maybe our understanding of how far we've come from now that we are young people of this country might not necessarily represent what you've seen in terms of constitutional growth and development in our country. Share with us what you think. Around this table, my guests believe that our biggest challenge and problem in this country are the political class, but they also want to get into politics. Would you be the next biggest problem of Kenyans, Nabiswa?
You see, JP, it's not, this is where we get it wrong, and I've always said this. You know, there is ambitions and being ambitious for wealth. Why I have always believed that the problem is leaders. Now, this problem also it's ourselves. Because we are taking leaders into office. The leaders who have worked in private sector, who have been in public sector, they have retired. So you are electing someone who is 68 years to be a governor, to be an MP. What is this guy thinking? This guy is thinking of retirement.
They say old age comes with wisdom.
But no, not in Kenya.
Even fools
Not in
become
Kenya.
old.
So, Paul,
Even fools
JP,
become so right.
JP, this guy going into office, his intention is to get a retirement base. But getting a young leader, like today we are electing JP as a governor of Nairobi.
Like I went to Rarieda constituency.
Yes. JP becomes a member of parliament for Rarieda. He's below 40 years. He will know that I have to work so that people can see my track record to give me another challenge, maybe a governor, maybe an MP, maybe give me another term. But this 68-year guy, he has no business of defending the legacy, whether
But
he
there's
loses
a
or not.
time-
Now, these are the people who are failing us. Once they're in that parliament, they're just thinking about themselves. They don't have an urgency of ensuring that the constitution is implemented. They don't have an urgency of thinking how else we can move this country ahead by getting the progressive policies. Now,
just come in. But even as you do, the rider would be, we saw last regime, President Uhuru appointing Moody Awori to a youth something.
Yeah.
I think it was sports or I don't know, I can't remember well.
Yeah.
But his argument was, these young people are the most corrupt individuals.
I think we learn from them. And Brian is right. We are the problem. And I think even most of these situations, and even local politics, campus politics, I've been doing campus politics. And I remember even when I was vying, at some point people were asking me for money. And I was asking them, I'm a student like you. Why do you expect me to get money to be giving you guys? And it was a big issue, and I lost because I couldn't give people money. And that's one of our problems, because we have seen what is happening up there, and we want to be part of it. Like he says, it's very lucrative when you become a parliamentarian here in Kenya. Immediately after 1 year, you're driving Guzzlers, and you are in big meetings, and some youths want to be there. And most of these people we see in politics who are representing the youth were in these leadership positions. And that's why we keep on saying, once you get into politics, you change. For me, I think it's a matter of principle. As an individual, what is the reason you are getting into politics? So are you going there to serve? Are you going there to put yourself in a position of power so that you can amass money? And that is our problem, because it's a societal issue. We keep on blaming our leaders a lot, but it is a societal issue. There's something you said about now the system, the people. Okay. As a country, we have a very poor culture of even honesty. You see certain things, like when there's a foreigner, you overcharge. Lying, small things like, trying to scheme other people, fellow Kenyans, and it's not even leadership oriented. You go to certain places, this is the common term, unaoshwa. That's our people. Even our neighbors don't like us as much. I've traveled to Tanzania, you are Kenya, nyinyi, and it's a problem that we have. So as much as we blame leaders, we need to start.
Reflection of who we are.
Yes.
It is said that bad leadership is a price that good people pay for electing bad people into office. So generally, if the political class is a reflection of who Kenyan society is, then how do we change the fabric? If the constitution cannot deal with it, the leadership has failed to deal with it, the electorate will not deal with it because they'll still just elect people that will give them handouts.
It's, as he said, and Paul, just a minute before I come to it, you see, those allegations that the president put on young people to justify why he picked Angomudi to chair the youth panel group is that they have a certain fear. You know, Paul, before the new constitution, this country could not elect. We had women who were vying for political seats, but they could not be elected. Why? The reason why women are weak, women cannot stand the pressure, but immediately the new constitution came in. It gave affirmative action that we must have 47 women in parliament.
Reps, yeah.
From there, we have seen it has given that chance that we are electing women through the affirmative actions. Now they are moving out of that space of the women reposition to other positions. Right now we have around 7 governors. And looking at those 7 governors, arguably, they are one of the best performing governors. So
that's a plus for
yes,
the
and then it erases
constitution.
the notion that was there that women cannot be good leaders. So even the young people, the constitution, yes, it gave us that avenue, but now it's not being implemented because we have that 35% in the constitution set aside for the young people. Look even at the nomination. He said that he comes from Bungoma County, where I also come from, and I was there as early as yesterday noon. Look at the positions, the people who are nominated to represent the youths in the assembly. Even in the Senate here, they removed a young lady who was a youthful. They replaced it with another who is not even a lady, who comes from my county to represent
So
the
you
youth.
feel-
And is way
you
past
feel-
that. Now it's the implementation, and we don't have power to implement it. The people who we have given that power to implement for us, they are failing us. Now, coming at what should be done to ensure that this Katiba is done and implemented is for us to have that clean mind in electing people. You know, the culture that we are having as a country, whereby we base politics basing on the money. And even today, you go to the society, every day I go on the ground, people will look, even if you don't have interest in politics, but you look moneyed, you are a kiongozi, you are a governor, you build a nice house in the village there, already you earn the title, the governor, the senator. So we base our leadership is based on money, but not on qualities and what you can give.
Okay.
In the political space, we've had leaders who have given good policies, and a good leader will always give policies borrowing from either the Constitution, the Holy Book, or the Quran, because these are the sources of good governance. So we've had people who have given good policies, and we feel that they can do the best in service implementing the constitution that we have, but we cannot give them the platform because they don't have money. And those people who have money, we have to remember that most of them, they're getting this money through some dubious means. So they're eyeing for this leadership position to get a channel of getting more easy money.
And to protect what they have already acquired. Politics seems to be one of the lucrative businesses, but it's just spoken to affirmative action that brought in representation of women. But we've also seen one of the things that we'll say is worth celebrating is a freedom of expression and speech. We'll not be having this kind of conversation some years back.
Yeah.
So would you say that expression of the freedom of expression or freedom of speech, would you say it's a plus, or is it also being eroded? Looking at what we saw with the Gen Z movement, where majority of them were maimed, others killed.
It's a big plus. We, like you say, you know, in the olden age, we would have police officers there and taking us somewhere else. It's under threat. No, no. That's not a lie. Yeah? But the Constitution has emboldened the people to speak. You know, the courage that you have to hold this show and us coming here is because we know we are protected by the Constitution. You know, and if we did not have that, then I would not have come, because there was no certainty that I'm
You will
protected.
live here safe.
Yes, even if I get taken out of here, I still know there are legal channels that I can, maneuver around, habeas corpus, even suing the state for wrongful arrests, because I know the Constitution protects me. So that's a big plus. And I think even you saw it last year and this year, more people are appreciating what the Constitution has to offer. And you've seen this debate between the old and the young about, Gen Zs are too loud, they are disrespectful, and they talk a lot and they complain a lot. Because we complain a lot because we know that we are protected by the Constitution and we have a right to speak and to demand what we think we deserve. So that's a big plus of the Constitution. And I think it's something that we need to appreciate as much, because we did not have this, and many of our neighbors don't have that. Even just as our close neighbors here do not. It is unheard of that you would even criticize the president. So for us, I wouldn't say lucky. We are privileged in that sense that we have that 2010 Constitution, and beyond just freedom of expression, we have things, protection of the identity of people. We have communities, minority communities being represented, even getting recognition, like the Nubians and Indians getting recognition. So as much as the provisions of the Constitution are under threat, we have come a long way. And it is, there's a book that was written by one Professor Ambani, who was my dean in law school. He calls it artificial intelligence, that the Constitution had artificial intelligence. It thought ahead that it gives you this, but it gives you protection around it. So it has given us freedom of expression, but it has also given us tools to fight any person who wants to curtail that right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Talk about artificial intelligence, but it's also said, at least when you use artificial intelligence, there should be a level of intelligence to be assisted. Do you think like
you will not copy everything?
Yes. The people that are supposed to see that this Constitution is implemented to the letter, are they really ready for the task moving ahead past this day of celebration? If you look at the judiciary, political class, we've spoken about them, but majorly that separation of power. Are we saying that we are safe moving forward?
As much as, the three arms of government, for me, I've always believed that they have to be at par. We do not need to see a scenario where one arm of the government looks to be more superior than others, and we have another one which looks to be so inferior. Like today, you ask anyone, he will tell you executive is the most superior. He will tell you the parliament is he will tell you that the judiciary is the most least, which should not be the case if I'm right. Now, if these three organs, and as you put it, the third one, that is the independent bodies, the fourth one, the independent bodies, can work independently, that will give an avenue where this constitution will be implemented smoothly. Because today, the judiciary has been, when the judiciary decides that it's acting independently for some causes which are being pushed by the executive, you will see the executive will deny them some privileges. We have seen security being withdrawn. We have seen the budget being cut by the parliament. We have seen some judges being threatened of being recalled, because we have seen a judge who ruled against a certain cause which was being pushed by the parliament. That is during the share and housing levy. What happened to that judge? He was threatened. We saw in 2017, after the Maraga ruling, what happened? Some political class started calling the courts kangaroos. Some some judges, including the Chief Justice, was totally under attack. So it threatens, it's a big threat to the justice and implementation of the Constitution if these bodies are not given full independence to ensure that can work, every organ can work without being interfered by another organ.
Yeah. As we come to a close, we the people, how do we pick back that power?
I think at this point, it's making the right decisions, and I think the test drive for us is the by-elections that we have currently. I have seen that we have not changed so far. Looking at the people who are vying, we have not changed. We've gone exactly to how 2022 was, and I think that's how 2027 is going to be. I think we need to learn from our mistakes as a people, because we've always seen situations where we come out, we complain, and then during election time, we go back to the same. And that's the only opportunity, only avenue, and I think as a lawyer, that's the only opportunity we have to reset everything. Elect the right members of parliament, elect the right members of county assembly, elect the right governors and senators, and you'll have a good working system, because those people are going now to be, bound by the Constitution, and they're going to implement it fully. So it is up to us as Kenyans to come together and use metrics that are beyond tribal alignments, because we're going back that way. And also, one problem is that qualified persons are not vying. Brian here, if you intend of going for a political seat, go for it, because you have that experience. Because we are letting people who do not have any record of good leadership.
Yeah.
And when you talk about chapter 6 is very, now I can use this, it's very clear, There are certain principles that are required of a leader. And before you decide to vie, look at chapter 6 and ask yourself, do I qualify to be a leader in this country according to this chapter? No. If I don't, then don't vie. If you feel like you qualify and you have the means, then vie, because we need those people and we need more options to choose from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Kiongozi. Now that you said if you look smart, Kiongozi. So, your last one.
So, you see, Paul, we are having a problem here as the people. We cannot entirely blame the system and the organs we have because we are the ones who are bringing those people in office. My problem has been, and we all know, the role of a member of parliament is oversight, legislation. And for me,
and representation.
For me, I've been so particular about legislation. Good governance and a country moving forward, it needs better policies. And who makes those policies? They're the people we are electing to represent us. Now, JP and my good friend,
our learned friend.
My learned friend.
I'm sorry for having difficulty.
You're electing someone who boasts to be a class 2 dropout, to be a member of parliament. Then you expect this person to go in parliament and enact a policy which is related to how cryptocurrency can help the Kenyan youth go forward. I mean, how will that work?
Maybe that's why we have a lot of them wash.
That is no. Now the problem is we are electing leaders who doesn't merit to be leaders. We're electing leaders who doesn't have conscience on how to legislate, on how to ensure that people are going, country is going in the right direction. Today, look at the parliament. Go to the parliament. Look at the people the kind of policies that are coming, being formulated, including the contagious one. Someone is just there to say, yes, I know, stamping the feet, but he doesn't have that intellectual to read and even provide a policy that will help a country. So we are ending up as a country borrowing on the outdated laws, which are so impunitive. Like, I was having a question here that 65% of this country, if I'm right, is composed of the young people, the youths. Now, the thinking of the youth of today is not the same as the thinking of a youth of 1970s, who is the like of some senators we have. I'm sorry to use the name
Those
of
are
the youth
youth
leader. The youth leader. We have the youth leader in the Senate. How will that youth leader legislate and come up with a policy that thinks in the same way that like that of a Gen Z? That's why now they are ending up saying that the young people of this today doesn't have good manners. They are so fast, forgetting that the generation, the era has changed, even technology has changed. Yeah.
I get you. These are conversations that cannot end now. And I think one of the best things is bringing young people to discuss Katiba at 15, because we could have gone the way of bringing the youth leaders to come and discuss them, but it is good that we see them from the perspective of young people and what it means. And we've talked about the failures of leadership institutions and what needs to be done moving forward. Thank you, Tekin, for your time on Crosstalk. Thank you, Kiongozi Brian, on your time, and all the best in your political endeavors. When you become you want to be a senator.
Yes.
Yeah. When you become a
Be
senator,
diligent.
be diligent.
So we'll be talking about you here.
And we have your number. I hope you won't change it. This has been Crosstalk, looking at Katiba at 15. We've talked about leadership, we've talked about ethics and what necessarily we need to do as a people to shape this constitution. As we move forward and as we celebrate this day, I pray that you will find it asking yourself critical questions, just the way we've asked ourselves critical questions in line of the constitution. What role are you playing as a citizen in shaping this document? Until next time, bye-bye for now.